It would just be the standard investigation, trying to keep up with current events and trying to see if there's any potential leads that could end up aiding, especially when it comes down to, well, this larger than I can truly follow conflict between demons, vampires, empires, and dragons and fae. It's a lot to keep track of.
Okay. Well, we can. We can handle this. We can handle this with a simple. This isn't necessarily carousing because you're not necessarily going out. You're just observing or keeping an ear open more than you're trying to buy people drinks. Am I correct? Okay. All right. Yeah, we can handle it like this. And yeah, if I recall, that this was a Bright and Norelai split because you all were trying to get the donkey aboard the barge, and some shenanigans happened, and that was before Mask of Horns because that was also Norelai was still around. But let's resolve this. So we will use the template for carousing, though instead of necessarily charisma persuasion, as you are more... Yeah, you didn't get the donkey on the barge. Well, there was an attempt, but things happened, and... Anyway.
There was a donkey, a barge, and a really mean man.
Well, it looks like this is the district for that. Hang on. Clearly the docks district. I don't know what you're talking about. Those lamps are blue. Although that was the old turn. Anyway. Instead of charisma persuasion, let's go with, I guess just a straight up investigation. You're here, you're putting some clues out. Okay, so you spend time here. There's no contacts that are made, no, I guess there's nothing that comes to light that isn't already, known. I mean, there is a Shadowheart presence here. You're seeing a couple ships, in this lakeside town. There's a feeling of animosity, but you are also going to get that because just because it's not open war doesn't mean that these aren't still considered to be invaders or just people that are up to no good. But it's quiet here in Lakeside, which is, I guess, a good thing. And nothing as well that would go outside the norms of... Well, actually, wait, what was your background? You're an investigator, right?
Yep.
Okay, and that gives you, like, the local spots where police and or criminals hang out?
That would be correct.
Okay.
Well, I have very easy access to finding that information.
Yeah. The local police here aren't especially concerned. I mean, because you can talk the talk, and there's nothing besides a bunch of petty thefts. They're always looking for people who want to help. Especially as there's been a lot more importation of goods from Shadowheart, and so there's just a need for people to check crates and to do this. But there's just been a lot of petty stuff. People getting into bar fights. Maybe an accident happens. Maybe something caught fire, but it's kind of difficult because there's a lot of tieflings living. Things are usually built to be easily put out or not able to catch fire as immediately, unless it's through very intense means. But yeah, you could stay here and work, or you can continue to pass through town. But no one's like, oh, we're half the town's on fire. Or, we need everyone, or that there's a bunch of a bunch of monsters crawling out of the lake or anything like that.
I've already had my fill of that, thank you. Right now, simply going from one location to another and being at rest is a fantastical change.
Very well then. So Yeah, the town is not in need. Everything seems to be standard every day, petty crimes and such. So if you want to stay, in fact, if you want, you can even switch from a hay cart to a barge if you want to be on the water. That'd be up to you.
That might be a nice change of pace. I'm still pulling hay out of my backpack and other sorts of points. It's been uncomfortable, which I would be accustomed to, but nevertheless, small amount of change can't hurt.
Then you're able to do just this, and because this is Dungeons and Dragons, there's a set of rules on how you can relax. So let's get into the minutia and the mechanics of relaxing. Although honestly, with everything that's described, I mean, you are aware, but you're also, I mean, you're not seeking to, jump at the first sight of anything that's beyond the norm. Much of the rules of relaxation for downtime, I'm absolutely fine with hand waving, as you're on a pleasant barge ride that's going to take several days to go down the river to get to Mask of Horns.
Insist on relaxing exactly according to the rules, though.
Well, the rules do say relaxation requires 1 week. You have to relax for exactly a week. No more, no less. But in this case, I don't know. The current could be a little light. It doesn't have to take a week, but I'm kind of poking fun that there's rules for relaxation here. So you're on the river, headed out to sea. It says you have to maintain at least a modest lifestyle, but honestly, your modest lifestyle, Jaiden, is going to be different than others. I don't think you have to go and make sure that you have a balanced like bread, cheese, and a meat stick with maybe some potable water or a wine or an ale or something to get that. You've roughed it before, so you can still be comfortable.
No, but they do have these delicious chocolate-covered crickets.
Oh.
I don't know why they're appealing to me right now.
It must be another Shadowheart import here, but they're all the rage, especially because everyone's like, well, there's plenty of crickets. We'll just keep.
I'm just glad that she's a bird right now.
Yeah, we'll just. Yeah, Peggy Sue, cover you're a bird. You have ear hole things somewhere. Cover your antenna, Peggy Sue. Cricket Peggy Sue. Unfortunately, that's a vicious cycle. Covers it like with her legs, and that creates the cricket sound that vibrates through the antenna. And that's just a reverb. So anyway, relaxing offers several benefits. While relaxing, a character gains advantage on saving throws to recover from a bunch of stuff that you cannot recover from, either because you're not afflicted by it or you just can't recover from what you've been afflicted with. Now, what this can do though is you have time to I guess you have time to think. You have time to fish off the side. I guess, going off the side of the boat's a little bit more complex for you now, but you can just as easily just have a mundane drift down the river, fish, dangle your toes in the water. The sailors are there. They're not going to try anything. They're hauling cargo, and you're there. You might be able to do some light helping out. But if there is not a condition that I can cure for you, there is some kind of a benefit. There is some kind of a benefit that you can receive, and I can offer this to you in a floating advantage on anything that you do while in Mask of Horns, like a redeemable advantage on something. Because you are rested and going into things with relaxed muscles or a clearer mind, or if there is some kind of lore that may be reasonable for you to pick up on a river trip. We don't need to roll for it. It may not be a deep secret of the universe, but if there's something in particular you as a player and or through your character are wondering about, then I can grant you this as a boon as well. Would you like that, or even something that I haven't listed that would be appropriate for taking a riverboat ride?
Primarily Jacob would be interested in not only nautical yeah, um, travel, but trying to get an understanding of, okay, where would ships go, why did they take these routes, etc., etc. It's useful given the current situation of the Shadowhar Empire, who is currently moving into Mesomasca, so it's probably something worth researching, and I have a captain of the barge to be able to ask.
Okay. Is this is this teaching you how to sail, or is this info on like why would they choose a port? Or I'm sorry, I heard what you said. I don't know if I'm understanding what you're going for with it, or is it like what's your
It's okay.
specific goal?
You're trying to speak with to somebody who's a little bit out. Um, what I'm trying to gather is particular movements, like why would they end up encroaching here? Why are they expanding here, etc., etc., as far as seafaring is concerned.
Okay.
Because maybe there's a larger plan in mind. Maybe it's just natural expansion routes. Maybe it's a way to control trade. Who knows? But this is a time to consider it.
Okay, yeah. You want to? You're on a lazy trip, and look, the captain of the barge is. I mean, yeah, you got to keep out, make sure you don't bang into rocks or on sandbars and whatnot. But honestly, he's traveled this river up and down for most of his life, so the conversation and especially the ability to impart knowledge on someone else is appreciated. Plus, again, he's not being untowards, though, it's nice being able to talk to a woman and not a man who more regularly seems to sign up for this kind of duty. So you're getting the experience now of those who, even if they're trying to be nice, still don't, they still don't seem to, they're not bad. They're just, the way that they put it seems to exclude you and then say, well, you're with us as well. He rolls out a map here, and he'll go over it with you. He'll have one of his first mates take over, and you sit down and plot this through. And let's, oops. And we have a wizened old sea barge captain here. So, all right. Well, the way I figure it, what they want here, well, everyone knows. Nice qualifier statement. Everyone knows that this is where, historically, this is where they used to be. This was Shadowhar right here. And so everyone knows they're coming back to take over. Though, I can't say that even I expected that this would turn into a war that wasn't a war. At least not how wars have been fought, conflicts been had. But they're coming around Kandor. And, well, we're going to Masca Horns. Plenty of trade ships there. I've been taking their goods up the river and back down with an empty barge for weeks now. They're bringing in things that it's new, it's different. They're useful tools and different quality than what you find here. And I think everyone is just honestly glad that they're not fighting us. If you're gonna control the ins and the outs here at Mesotopia, Mesomasca is the place to be, especially where we're going right here, since a lot of traffic just bounces across the northern part here instead of taking the beak south. So it's a good way to control trade. All ships that gotta go in and out, and whether it's in the north or south, they pass by. They can always attempt to go through these straits here, but that's really dangerous. They could always go south too, this way, but it takes a lot longer. And not that the Lacuna folk are unfriendly. They're Mesotopians like the rest of us, but they've always just kind of been on their own. They've been really cautious about any sort of... and thank you very much, Draconic Gamer. I'm glad you're enjoying our program here. It could just take longer, and well, it's just easier. Look, as someone who tries to find the quickest way back and forth. So yeah, this is a strategic place. The fact that they're actually paying for their dockage, their money and their goods is flowing in here. You may not like the face stamped on the coin, but it's familiar to a lot of people. It's not like halfling, or it's not like tieflings aren't known in these parts. And he'll even like pull out a Shadowhari coin, and it has a face of a very young tiefling on the front of it, like maybe a boy 10, 12 years old.
But I'm not familiar with this individual.
I didn't make a history. Maybe.
Don't worry, I already knew I couldn't roll over 10 this entire time unless it crits, so...
Well, you crit on both of them.
By this entire time, you mean the whole game, right?
Come on, there's been a few. There's been one or two.
Holds
I rolled
up
a 19 back in the day.
A fairly new, it's actually quite shiny. A fairly new gold coin, about the same size as Mesotopian standard. Though the name seems to escape you, and the captain can't seem to pronounce this name, as he just forget his name. This is apparently the ruler, the Emperor Shadowhar. That's his face. Who'd have thunk? A young kid like that.
Yes. Such a young thing to bear such responsibilities. And mind if I trade you?
What
Gold,
for?
it's gold after all.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Honestly, depending on the place you go to, carrying around some of their change before you can maybe melt it down and recast it or something, that might get you a good punch in the jaw if anyone saw you spending that coin. So yeah, I'd be fine to trade you. You've been a good passenger. Honestly, I like being able to share my knowledge with you. So sure, 1 for 1. Here we go. You can have yourself a nice shiny Shadowhar gold piece.
Well, I like little baubles and trinkets. Maybe I'm a part magpie. And Stillwaters takes the time to kind of stare at this coin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to memorize the face.
Okay. It's very freshly minted. Again, there's hardly any scratches or buffing on it. No one shaved the sides down or anything. And you memorizing the face as much as you can off of a coin. Not in like modern mint technology or anything, but it's fairly good. On the back, because you're looking this over as well. It's interesting as there seems to be maybe a dragon. It's kind of stylized to be longer than the classic ones, or the ones that there's been some encounters with apparently. But it is on the back, and or at least a dragon's head. Though if not a long body, it almost looks like a tail wrapped around the edge of the back of the coin, and then in the middle is a weird symbol that is. Let me draw it here. I like drawing. So we have a coin, and then there's kind of a classic dragon head, and it would go into what might be a body, but then this just kind of like curls around into a tail that kind of has like an interesting, like a little bit of fluff, like hair maybe, and then in the middle is like 2 points and a oval.
Well, thankfully, I know I have an expert that I can ask. If I don't know it, at least I know somebody who does.
And there is something as well, but it's written in like Shadow, like Northern Common, Shadowheart Common. So it would be it wouldn't be immediately decipherable. At least probably no one on this barge can read it. The letters are vaguely familiar, such as, between English letters or Cyrillic letters. I mean, some of them are kind of the same. You might flip the R around, or there might be an accent mark here or there. There are some similarities, but the pronunciation or meaning would be beyond the barge captain. And
like trying to read Russian when you know English.
Exactly.
Some of the characters look familiar, but
you get, I don't know, for a second maybe you try common, just you're speaking out loud with the accent to see if that's motivation. All right, so anyway, that's that's
Skrovsky. What does the Skrovsky mean?
Here's a brand new Shadowheart coin that was traded to you. The barge ride is uneventful. There's no river pirates. Everything passes, and now we get to Mask of Horns. And in the Mask of Horns, you might very well be able to find someone that can read the coin, as you kind of know someone from Shadowheart.
Yeah. But first, the precinct.
Yes.
I have the letter, I have the name. And Father was very insistent that I would end up getting in contact with this person. I'd like to end up writing a letter back saying I have in fact made contact and thank you for whatever may proceed. Also, I may end up making a point. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Tumbled Wench is a separate establishment from the Cherry.
Correct. They are different businesses.
Okay. The only reason I ask is because at one point I was starting to think that the Tipsy Wench was converted into.
No. Nope.
Yeah.
It was
So
its own hotel, but no. The Tumbled Wench is a franchise all throughout the region, and it said any town that's a town has a Tumbled Wench, but no, it is its own thing. And the Wild Cherry was an independent establishment before it was apparently bought out by Miss Crumb, or at least gone into partnership.
All right. Well, if that's the case, I am going to end up, like I said, going to the precinct first, see what they can do for me, and if they have any leads, particularly with this Shadowheart business.
Okay. So broadly, the first goal is to redeem the the voucher, the boon, or the coupon that was given to you. In so doing, you meet this old partner of your dad's. When they were younger, they knew each other, rolled around, just like as cops, like on the beat. They're, we're going to go out and bust heads, and we're going to bring law to this place. Your dad was sent here, like working in the big city because he was gonna, he wasn't afraid. Like he wanted more than just the pickpockets of Greenshield and other things like this. So you're getting some family history that maybe Dad might have hinted at, but this guy's willing to talk about it because you're presenting the note. Though when it gets down to the business, what your dad was referring to, unfortunately, had been stolen over about a month ago. As there has been a lot of crime taking place in the city because there's a lot more in variety, in quantity, and in value of goods, and so the thieves have been getting bolder. And from this old cop as well, you're learning that the known fraternities, quote unquote, have been engaged in some kind of an internal conflict or a war with themselves. And he's not sure what to make of it, but when these, when these thieves guilds are even after each other, there's something going on, but he doesn't have a particular lead on it. All he knows is that the thing that your dad wanted you to have isn't with him anymore. But he does say that, if you're willing to go out and try and find it, I can give you some clues.
Well, certainly. At the very least, I might be able to give you a few leads on what's going on with the guilds. It might be detestable, but organized crime is better than riots any day of the week. At the very least, then we have people who are culpable.
All right. So what I am going to do is we are going to run this downtime activity as you're going to investigate, you're going to track down, you're going to, find leads and clues over time. We're not going to get to play Detective Bright, although I guess it would be kind of similar to when she took that on as a private eye there for that week. We are going to run. We're going to run something similar to the crime downtime activity. It will be slightly modified, and unlike the pit fighter, where there is a variable to each of the checks, I'm going to let you choose a particular DC, and this is going to determine the quality of criminal and thereby the quality of reward that you choose to get from this task. And so you can choose a DC to be 10, 15, 20, or 25. And there will be 3 checks to make against this static DC. And that's going to partly depend on your approach to things. I'm going to call on what it is depending on your methodology. But you are going to get to set the difficulty level. Obviously, if you go 25, this is going to be like high end. This will be some high end stuff because a master criminal broke in and took this very valuable item. Otherwise, if you want to play it safer, a 10.
Well. The truth is that everybody hates a coward. I will take 25.
You also have a floating advantage, don't forget.
I have more than that. I would like to end up using... I think at some point I might have cornered this individual and a chase has ensued. And so I am going to end up trying to use athletics to end up tackling them down to the ground. A basic collar.
Okay.
Chance. Go ahead.
Yeah. First thing first to set up. So you're going for. So I guess in the meta, or the machinations of some great being that is behind the cogs and the wheels of the universe, has slotted you into the 25 difficulty for what's going to happen here. And what I'm going to need you to do is to. First, investigate, and not necessarily through the skill, I'm just talking broadly. The officer is going to take you to where the crime happened, which is actually at his place, but it was in a safe room out of the way. And for you to determine how the thief broke in, as apparently there's no signs that even this old cop was able to tell. So we're dealing with a professional here. But no wonder, given, this is something that I cherish dearly. And so we have a DC, we're going to set, or the 25 is the number to beat. And as you're not the one performing the crime, you aren't going to need a stealth check for the infiltration. But as the infiltration has happened, we do need a way to measure from this first interaction your ability to determine the point of entry, which could start giving you a profile on the criminal. And so how would you like to approach determining the breakdown, the method of came in here by doing this obscure thing, and like the scene of the crime. How would you like to interact with this?
That is going to be an investigation roll.
Okay, investigation is fine.
I am going to use my advantage, the +1, and I'm going to use my inspiration.
Oh, all right. So let me click through that. So this was from Kitty Bird. That +1 is redeemed. I am not going to be adding a +1 to this. You chose maximum difficulty, so this is going to be versus a DC of 25. You're doing an investigation with a +1 and advantage. Okay. So a 13, or I guess that would be a 14 if you're floating that.
Yep. Wasted.
You're not sure offhand. Obviously, the person got in here, but they must have covered their tracks really well. The item is missing. Then from here, you need to determine how they were able to... give the investigator another hand. All right, so All Right is floating you another +1 out there. And so this is going to be... this item was told, like, this was under lock and key. I don't know how this person broke in here. And so normally, from a thief's point of view, this would be a dexterity thieves tools. Or maybe another way to get into a place. But now you're not sure how they got in, but maybe you can determine the type of person they are from the interaction that was made to liberate this item. How would you like to do that? The realm of the arcane is possible. This is a magical world, and thieves can wield magic. This could very well be a bread and butter. They use thieves tools. Or something fantastic, but you can name the skill that you want to test against a way that someone would break into an area.
Given the precinct and how long it's been around, I imagine this wouldn't be the first time this has happened. So I'd like to end up going into history.
Ah. Okay.
I'm specifically looking at, okay, well, maybe somebody here caught wind of this particular chink in the armor.
Yep.
And I will be using the Fickle God.
Okay, so you are redeeming a Fickle God's favor for a +1. So that'll be All Rights. And then I see, Coffee Cat. Ooh, is floating one to you, too. All right. So you're getting an idea here... By the lack of like any way in that seems to be physical, any way like into the room, like no broken window, no whatever busted door, and now you're not seeing any signs from the reports of anything physical. This is seeming that you're dealing with a magical thief in some way. And unfortunately, Stillwater's
magic.
Of course, it's magic. And what a tricky thief if you're having to deal with magic here. And then from here, if
it's such a valuable item that somebody that skilled needs to go through it. Mm-hmm. I imagine it must really reduce the amount of fences you would go through, or the amount of collectors that would want it, that could afford it.
Ah, okay.
So that actually would heavily reduce the amount of suspects I would need to end up looking for.
Then in this case, that is sound logic. Then to pursue the limited pool of people who might be interested, let alone able to afford such a high value item from such a high profile criminal. So in this case, in this step, the criminal would need to make either an investigation, perception, or deception, and that would be for like casing the joint or trying to find a fence or some other things like what you talked about. How do you want to? Do you want to shake people down like with an intimidation, or do you want to? You tell me. This is I like your idea. Tell me how you want to pursue it.
It's gotta be another investigation. I can't.
That's fine.
And I will burn both favors, if possible.
All right. One for Jaiden. Sure, that's fine. And Stillwater's as well. From Coffee Cat.
No.
20. It's all right.
Got away on me.
So the results from this, this isn't like a day or anything. Obviously, this is over time. You're putting in some investigation. You are still pulling in some numbers, not for the direct result you're looking for, though. And by it's a good thing you're not actually.
It's a fail. It's a fail. Let's not mince words here.
Well, I was going to say, if you're a criminal, you would actually go to jail. Fortunately, you're on the other side of the law, and so instead of going to jail, while this item isn't recovered at the end of this downtime segment, you suspect that with all of the commerce that is taking place, especially with the Shadowhar, that it's not just Shadowhar items that are being imported. They are actually getting they're buying other people's stuff too, which is why there's a lot of money being spread around, because people are willing to sell their things to the foreigners who are in port, who are interested in this, especially if they're relics or if they're, interesting things. Now, where this would then conclude this for you, if in fact it is with the Shadowhar, while you have no jurisdiction on their ships and you really pull no command as a legal authority here, or as a military authority, you do know someone who perhaps does. And so you are able to meet with Miss Crumb, and there is some baseline information she's happy to tell you. Though I would ask what you want her to do with a particular, aside from filling you in on a general set of stuff I'm going to give you regardless. You could roll 10 ones in a row, and there's still stuff she's going to tell you, because your relationship hasn't soured and she's been doing stuff this whole time. Do you want to set her? Do you want to set her to recover this item with the Shadowhar, or do you want to have another downtime interaction with her? Some other kind, to acquire something, or to go for like a super juicy or rare piece of info, or you have a lot of options.
At this point, as much as it pains me to end up knowing that the gift was stolen, nothing, that changes absolutely nothing. The information is more valuable, and I will accept the loss and move on.
Okay.
I think with her it would be more trying to understand what exactly is going on. Her rise to power and her being able to end up assisting me in at least understanding what is going on here. Yes, I understand these were Shadowhar lands, but now there is a lot of talk. A lot of talk in the streets, making people very uncomfortable. And this could quite easily turn from a exchange of commerce and goods and culture into a beachhead very quickly.
Okay.
So, I'm trying to get an understanding of what exactly is going on here, especially when it comes down to accusations of, I know what she is.
All right. Then what I will do is for I guess her slot that you're kind of sharing a possible result of some downtime here. I am going to roll a research, and that will occupy this slot. And aside from the basic information you're getting, I'm going to see if because instead of pursuing the item, we're going to be pursuing some knowledge. I'm going to see how many special nuggets of knowledge you're going to get along with the debriefing here.
And just as a point, I will also end up asking about the coin, the kid's face, the unknown writing, that sort of thing, which I'm pretty sure would be covered in the basic information.
Yeah,
I don't think she would be hiding what the translation is on a public coin.
That's going to be that'll be standard issue stuff. This is I'm looking for like lore bombs in out of character terms. I'm going to see how many lore bombs I can drop as well. Now this is going to be with the questions you're asking. Either she didn't know, or she's going to go and find out because maybe she's never thought of it like that before. And so it's with your prompting. And so you are going to be aiding. You're going to be aiding her. So she is going to get an advantage here. However, if you can spend, all right, just gave another +1 if you want to spend that +1 on her behalf.
Yes, I would.
Okay.
At this point, if we're getting nowhere and I don't have time to spin my wheels, by the time the others get back, if I have nothing to present, then all I've done is waste their time.
Alrighty. And she is in the money, so okay. And that +1's actually going to raise the maximum as well. So we're going to take the best of these two, and we're adding 11 to this. So that is going to be a 23. You learn 3 pieces of lore. Okay. So a basic breakdown of events. A lot of what you learned is going to be repeated in so much that the Empire, it is her opinion from the people she's talked to, and simply having been someone who's effectively fled the Empire. I mean, it's not like she lost respect for it, but she's happy where she is because she's successful and has found business. That they are using this as a beachhead, more of an economic one that's applying pressure throughout the area. And that, in her opinion, this is creating almost a kind of dependency on the people who are invading. It's a weird kind of, like a reverse, almost like a reverse parasite. Whereas the parasite's usually the one that's considered the attacker and takes. In this case, the invader seems to be giving. And it's creating kind of a expectation or a friendly desire to have more of what's being offered.
Yep. It's basic colonization.
And so this is this seems to be their strategy. They have taken up as their home port in all but, I guess like legal declaration, Old Port itself, which was the location of the first pilgrims that actually did not even flee from Shadowhar, but return to Mesomasca from Shadowhar, which in history, it's considered apocryphal, but is that people actually, that the Shadowhar fled from Mesotopia up to the northeast, and now that they've started to come back. Some other basic knowledge. She is, of course, still a vampire. She's doing vampire things. She has found that the what she consumes augments her, and so she has learned to use this ability to get herself in the advantage that she's in, where she has wined and dined, in certain terms, her way into wealth, and to actually buy this place from the owner that was a little desperate, who apparently was desperate even before the tower exploded, and he was trying to use that event as a way to get more people in. So he needed something, and she was able to supply it. And after she says that, she says, you know what, I guess it's kind of... Huh. That's exactly what the Empire's doing to this place. Well, anyway. So she has turned it into a haven for vampires. She's straight up with you. Many of the residents here are vampires. And one of them is one that I turned as I was trying to figure out what I was. And so I've been looking after her. Though the others have come here, though they're not old vampires. These are people who have been bitten, who are new and kind of found their way here. And she's been putting out signals to other vampires that this is a haven for them. As it seems like the Empire's looking to actually collect the vampires. Not through untoward means, however, the fact that the Empire is willing to go vampire hunting has only continued to ingratiate them to the citizenry of Mesotopia, since we're everywhere, she says. Then, let's see. She tells you that what's written on the coin, this is a new coin from the new Empire, from the new Emperor, that he is a young child, and that the coin says all things in time.
All things in time. Well, Mrs. Crumb, or Miss Crumb, I'm sorry. I'm grateful for the information. If I were to be upfront, however, have you been very careful as far as looking after your flock, so to speak? I imagine it would not take much in order to end up reducing this entire place into a buzz of panic. And I'd rather it not end up suddenly turning into a pyre. I did say I would give you all the benefit of the doubt, did I not?
She confirms that, I mean, it's certainly a different way to live, but she's found a freedom in this that she hasn't had before. But then again, that's per her personal circumstances. And she has been doing her best. I guess in a parallel term, it's almost like with as long as the new vampires have been around, which hasn't been that long, she is trying to run almost like, Xavier's Institute for Gifted Kids. Like, she wants vampires to come to her so that they don't cause problems, or so that they don't get shipped out. Because again, vampires, she has found out, have been being caught, and of all the ironies, have been nailed into wooden coffins and put out to ships on the sea. And she put together that that's exactly what happened aboard the Wild Cherry, was that her cargo ship was sent there to go get cargo. She wasn't told what it was, and that the wild people who broke out and ended up biting the crew were these vampires, and that's how she ended up as she did. And so she imagines that that's what's continuing to go on.
I will have my compatriots here soon enough. Is there any particular leads that you think need to be followed? I have no say on what happens on a ship there, or when it comes to the Shadowheart Empire. But I still have a certain degree of skills that may be useful. However, they may be failing me.
Flashbacks to the pursuit. It's all right. We got to scrape the rust off, and we'll get back to it. There's nothing in particular that she needs you to do. Though she does offer, if you wanted to join the team, she'd be happy to. And by the way, this is the presumption also that you've explained why you're coming back, looking as you are, etc., etc. That's obviously, we know the circumstances out of character, but she's willing to extend the gift to you, if you'd like.
At this point, I have too much to end up doing. And at this point, why add to the pile of the debt?
Let's see. Any other standard info? If there's some other questions as well that aren't immediately coming up, I can fill you in either on side RP or in our channel or something. I think those are the big overarching ones. They've made their home port. This is also opening up, like, if I say something, I'm happy to kind of go in the margin around it too with some general information about the topic. But just for a limited time, I don't have an exhaustive list for you here.
No, it's quite all right. We can move on.
But some knowledge is unlocked to pursue if you want to know more about the core subject or about the periphery. However, due to that role, I can drop 3 lore bombs on you, and I will. What is interesting to you that is falling outside the norm of what you might pick up from a barge captain, a person at the end of the bar, from even your interesting vampire, your ally in this case. Is there a particular revelation you're seeking about your character, about the world, history, or anything that she could bring up coincidentally through her research? And there's no catch to these, because this is the result of, like, this is the reward. Instead of the item, we're going for knowledge, and I'll drop 3 lore bombs on you.
I guess the best way I'm trying to think of this is, where's the choke point in all this? Like, where's the point of failure in this trying to build Mesomasca dependent on the Shadowhar Empire? Because there's always a choke point. There's always a place where if this doesn't go through, if this doesn't maintain, problems arise for the Shadowhar Empire, which ends up making it a lot easier to end up dealing with later. Just in case I got to put a pin on that.
Sure.
Second of all, what's the name of the empire or emperor?
I'll include that with basic knowledge. I don't have that note open right now, but that'll be a freebie I'll float to you. Huh? What? I didn't hear, actually.
Tybalt.
Oh, shoot, yeah. Yeah. I'd have, yeah. We determined that, actually, when we were... I forgot to open up that document. Yes, so I'm sorry. But that's a freebie. That's not a lore bomb. This is, she'll tell you the name of the new emperor.
And so let's see here. I would also need... Okay. Who is actually running this? If Jaiden already knows that Tybalt was recently brought in as an emperor, that means something else is behind it.
Tibba's also not tiefling.
No, not Tibba. Not the portly child from...
Many fall in the face of chaos, but not this one.
Oh,
not
thank
today.
you for the host, D20 TV.
No. Let's see here. Honestly, I'm too tired to put pieces together right now, so I'll hold off on
All right.
it.
Well, I'll tell you what then. I will float you. I'll float you 3 lore bombs. If you want to still hold that first one about, like, whatever a counter, like a possible counter or something, you can. But why don't we just say you can ask 3 major pieces of lore, be it history, culture, war, magic, supernatural. I know that's not, Jaiden is like, ugh, magic. But if this brings about revelation or knowledge, you can ask about something magical as well, or about fantastic creatures and where to find them. And I will provide you 3 answers to 3 lore bombs that you would like. And, out of character, if you want to consult with the others, you're welcome to. But otherwise, this is yours. If you have particular things that you as Derek or you as Jaiden want to know. So you have a voucher for that, because we are near the end of the session anyway. And so I'll be able to provide that for you there. As well, she cannot, while she cannot promise immediate results, she can at least look into an odd item that was stolen and perhaps sold to Shadowhari sailors. She speaks the language and she ingratiates herself, especially as a sailor herself. So she knows how to also dress down and, walk and talk like a sailor does. Yep. I will get you a basic info lore sheet, and then you give me 3 plot bombs. But, yeah, we're nearing the end here. So what I will do then to, I guess, wrap things back around, because we've done several exercises here with Jaiden. On the trip aboard Lellywellin's Gamble, you all were taking off. You were taking off from the Dragon's Graveyard, and you were going to be... Whoops. Oh, that's drawing. I didn't want to draw. And you're going to be... Well, I guess I could kind of draw. Actually, no, I don't want to do that because I have that coin. I like that drawing. Apparently, you're going to take a circuitous route that looks like a coin. You're taking the southern route. You're going to squeeze between the volcano and the mountain. You are in for boat-only downtime. And you'll have probably about 10 to 14 days aboard a boat. You are staying in the high class suites, which means that there are highfalutin people you could rub shoulders with. If you want, you could just sun on the deck and enjoy a relaxation similar to what I offered Jaiden on the barge. Or I don't know if there's something. There's nothing necessarily to research, but there is an interesting crew. There's Captain Willowick, who is a tiefling who has those modified horns that actually they fold back, and when he puts them down, there's actually like binoculars as built-in jewelry, so he can look out distances. He also has a hook on the end of his tail, both for pirate aesthetic and also the fact that he can hook that onto something to stabilize himself, whether it's a railing and lean over the edge, or he can just stabilize himself in other ways. There's a crew that has been spending a very long time. There's probably even an elven crew member that's been around for 100 years on the ship, that you can talk to the crew, as they've been traveling all around Mesotopia for, it's just constantly, it's on a loop. There is something very interesting. This is actually be something that you've probably heard about, Mordecai, but Bright, you would remember from your time on that ship, since you kind of spoiled yourself on that ticket to Mesomasca. It was only supposed to be a 3-hour tour, and now look at you. The cook in the galley of Lellywellin's Gamble is a skeleton. And it has been the cook aboard the ship for as long as anyone can remember. Like, all tales, Mordecai, this is a freebie. You're a lore bard. You hear fantastic stuff. This skeleton has cooked food aboard the ship for presumably as long as the ship has been around. And we're talking, this is like... Lellywellin's Gamble is like a floating relic. Like, we're talking when the pilgrims were coming to settle Mesotopia. This was a ship that was somewhere. It may not have been the first pilgrim boat, but it's been operating. You may not have landed in Jamestown, but you know what? Let's give you the early 1700s and you're still operating, if not the mid 1600s. So in our US timeline here. So there is this, like, this it might even be a little fanboy moment. Like, this is a living legend. This is a ship that's been everywhere. It's seen so much. Well, aside from that, if you just want to, again, you could relax or schmooze. I don't know if there's anything else you think of, let me know. But that's the circumstances.
Mordecai is likely going to look into crafting some things.
What do you want to craft aboard the ship?
He's never done it before, but he kind of wants to tinker around with his violin.
Okay.
And see if he can't make it do something neat.
Okay.
Or something of that sort, because he's never enchanted anything before, so he might ask for Bright's help a lot.
Okay.
He's never really, quote, studied the arcane. He just knows a lot about it because he can wield it. So it's kind of an experiment.
Okay, so you want to try and do some sort of like minor magic item creation.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and do all sorts of different things. He wants to put himself to good use, and he feels like he's not very useful.
Okay.
So he wants to make things that are useful.
Professor?
Yes.
What would you like to do in this downtime? Yourself or to help another?
I will go ahead and assist arcane endeavors. Unlike him, I have very extensively studied the arcane. Maybe I might be able to give him some pointers. And with those creations, maybe if I am able to help him with my knowledge, he may be able to help me with crafting something.
Okay. Then, Bright, what is your goal for this seabound downtime?
I really don't have any idea. Can I talk to you about it in the off week? Because I really don't know.
Sure. Okay. That'll work, as I have an idea of the things that you're trying to pursue. We did hit 3 a.m., and it's actually the real 3 a.m. now that we're not in daylight savings. So, Lethality, you do have to scamper for Gathering of Nerds?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Okay. Then, what I will do for those of you who've redeemed some Fickle God favors, as we're kind of in the same downtime period, I will hold on to those until next week, and of course you all can continue to grant those favors. It's I'm sorry. It's it's the same thing but different. Actually. So yeah, I know your direction. If there's some side RP or some notes, like for instance, I have some homework for to give to Derek, and Derek has some homework about some plot bombs. If Bright has something that she would want to research or explore, or just save up a week of drinking margaritas on the deck of a ship and soaking up the sun, it's summertime. It feels nice, sea breeze. Maybe you can arrive to Uct with a tan, and also an advantage to something. But yeah, okay, we'll resolve that since we gotta shut things down, and then I will get up and take a little break, and then maybe we can play some Trivia Murder Party until the Gathering of Nerds goes live. Yeah. Very well then. I want to thank you all, and for those who aren't here, Darkwolf and Derek, who both had to, for very obvious and good reasons, you got to sleep, you got to rejuvenate yourself, make sure you're taking care of that business. And so thank you too. And then for the other three of you, or 2.5, since I think we still have Fluffy on audio, but we've lost video feed for the.
Yeah, it's time for me to take off my itchy head.
Yeah. Thank you very much for another good week, and we'll pick this up and continue to work towards info and items and levels and such from this time. So I will see you all around on the Discord, or if you're going to stop in the workshop at any time later. And then, of course, Lethality, when we see you on Discord go live, we'll come over and give you all a raid.
Yep, sounds good.
What is your level and prompt for this week's one-shot?
So the prompt is mirrored, and the level is 5.
Myriad, like many?
No,
Or-
mirrored.
Oh,
As
mirrored!
in like
Oh.
a hole of mirrors, or mirror image. Wink,
Sorry,
wink.
that was my derp. Okay, mirrored, level 5. Wait, when do you get mirror image as a spell?
Third
Possibly
level,
the
second
merit
level
is
spell.
married.
All right. Well, I look forward to being able to go over and raid y'all again. So go, do what you got to do. Set up your cameras. Tell all the nerds that we love them and say hi. And you have a very special package on its way to you. So I hope when it reaches you,
Yes,
well,
yes, I do.
it'll reach you shortly.
Oh
All right.
yeah, no, it'll be getting opened on stream most likely too.
Ooh, very good. All right, so for all of you in chat watching, I'm going to take a break as well while they're going to do their thing, and we'll come back and we'll play some party games for a little bit until the Gathering of Nerds goes live. So, bye-bye.
Yep.